there, this is Heather Sides. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Spokane, Washington, and I come to you every week on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific time and do a little card making class where I offer 3 cards and I show you how I make them, and hopefully it helps get your creative juices flowing and gives you a few ideas. So now, Facebook last week had changed a few things, and so I'm still kind of getting used to their new format and the way they're doing things. So be patient with me while I try to get things set up and making sure that I'm able to see everything that's going on, but also be able to see your comments and things like that. So let's see right now. This live is not showing up on my big screen. So like I said, bear with me, we're getting there. Let's see. Okay, so I see it now. It looks like I just have to find it in a different spot now. I just have to get used to that. So, oh, and I need to mute my computer, so hang on. Okay, took me a minute to find the button. I was working on a different keyboard than I normally do. So we're good there now. Now you only have to hear me once. Let's get everything up here. Now I can see comments. So welcome everybody. Speaking of comments, I encourage you to participate in the conversation. Say hello, tell me where you're from. Have a conversation with one another. It does make it more fun when I'm not the only one talking. You can ask me questions if you have questions, and I'm happy to try to answer them for you. Like I said, talking to one another sometimes happens, and it just makes for a good time, and I enjoy that. Not to mention that every week I do a drawing where I go back through the last week's videos, and everybody who commented, their name goes into a drawing for a prize, and I award that prize the following week. So gives everybody a chance, even those who watch it on the replay have a chance to participate in the drawing. All you have to do is make a comment of some sort, whether you're watching this on YouTube later after I upload it or watching it here on Facebook, whether you're watching it live or on a replay, as long as you comment, your name will go in the drawing, and we will get going on next week's drawing, or last week's drawing here in just a couple minutes. So let's see, Nell has joined us. Hi Nell, welcome. Good to see you. Let's see, I'm trying to think. I don't really have anything really that's happened in this last week to tell you guys about. Yeah, it's just been pretty uneventful around here, and sometimes that's okay too. So why don't we go ahead and turn the camera around? We'll go over a few quick little housekeeping things, and then we'll get going on our cards that I've got for you this week. Like I said, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to put them in the feed. Usually I'm able to keep up on the feed and see your questions as you ask them, but if you ask a question you don't get an answer, then be sure to pester me and ask it again. I do want to make sure that I'm able to address any questions that you have. Hello, Eric and Talina. Welcome. It's good to see you guys. I'm glad you guys could join us. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this around now, and we're going to, like I said, look at a few housekeeping things, and then we'll get going on our cards. So hold on just a moment. Okay. Getting this, I'll turn around. Susan has joined us. Welcome, Susan. Okay. Trying to get this straight, and then of course, I get something straight and then realize something else is crooked. Isn't that the way it always works? Let's see here. Okay, I think, that's sort of kind of almost straight, right? Good enough for government work. Okay, so the first thing I want to tell you about is this current paper pumpkin kit. It looks like it's going to be really pretty. They only give us a few clues about what's coming out. So even demonstrators, we don't know for sure what's going to be in the kit that comes out the following month. We are just as surprised as you, and we don't find out any earlier than you do. So this is the clue that I have for next month's kit. It looks like it's going to be about sand and sea and maybe letters in a bottle. If it's these sandy, beachy colors, I'm really excited. I think that's going to be really pretty. So if you are interested in signing signing up for Paper Pumpkin or finding out more about it, you can go to my website, heathersides.stampinup.net, and you can find out all about Paper Pumpkin. You can sign up for a 1-month trial, or you can even sign up for subscriptions of 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. And of course, like anything else, the longer duration of time that you sign up for, the cheaper it ends up being per month is how it kind of works out. So that's something to look into. And I do always enjoy the kits that come in once a month. I do a video just like this, except it's on a Saturday, and I give alternate ideas to the kit, things that you can do besides just the ideas that Stampin' Up! Gives you. So you can join me for that as well. Now, starting in just a couple of days, we have Celebration, and Celebration is always very exciting. There are, in this little brochure, there are usually around 10-ish gifts you can earn from Stampin' Up! For free. Hey, Carla, welcome. Thanks for joining us. You can earn stamps, you can earn dies, you can earn packs of designer series paper. Most of them, all you have to do to earn them is place a $50 order, and then you can choose what you want. Couple of them need a $100 order, but most of them are $50, and you can get an unlimited number of gifts, depending on how big your purchase is, and it counts toward all purchases that you might make between July 1st and August 31st. So you can stock up on those free gifts from Stampin' Up! And there are some really great items in this year's brochure. So I can't open it yet. I'm not allowed to until it goes live. So I can't show it to you. But next week, I definitely will have some to show you, and we'll probably even be working with some of them with our cards that we're going to make next week. Also on July 1st, our new holiday mini catalog launches, and it's July through December. And I say holiday because a good chunk of it is Christmas type stuff, but there's also fall and Halloween and a little assortment of all different stuff that it's only available from July through December. And again, great stuff in here. I can't open the catalog yet to show you, but next week I certainly will be able to. Hey, Robin, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So if you need a copy of this new mini catalog and you haven't received one yet, you don't have a demonstrator that you currently work with, let me know. I'd be happy to send one to you. You can send me a message here on Facebook, or you can send me an email at stamphappenings@gmail.com and let me know your address, and I'm happy to pop one in the mail to you. So last thing we're going to do before we get going on our cards, welcome Mary, thanks for joining us, is our drawing for last week's people who participated in conversation and made a comment either during the live or during a replay. And I have some of our bedazzled paper. This is really fun to work with. Hey Tracy, welcome. I have a funny story to tell you about this bedazzled paper. As you can see, it is very, very sparkly, and a little definitely goes a long way with this paper. And when I first got it, my husband looked at it and he said, "What are you going to do with that? Make a dress for Liza Minnelli?" And that just cracked me up. And so even now, every time I look at it, that's what I think of. But it is fun. It's just, like I said, very sparkly, a lot of fun. And this prize is going out to Ramona Blakely Culp. Ramona, I don't have your mailing address. So if you want to contact me either here on Facebook or at stamphappenings@gmail.com, let me know your address and I can get this popped in the mail to you. So congratulations, Ramona. We have people from all over tonight. We've got Ohio and Las Vegas. We've got Mill Creek, Washington. We've got Benicia, California. We've got all over the place. I love to see San Pablo, California. So I love seeing people from all over the place. That's so exciting. Okay, so let's get started with our cards. The first one we're going to make tonight uses a few different products. We're going to use the Artistically Inked stamp set. I love this stamp set. I haven't used it much in a long time, and I should get back into using it more because I really do love it. I think it's so pretty. It has matching dies called Artistic, and we're going to use this big one here tonight. We're also going to be using the Artistic Mix masks. They're like a, if you haven't used them before, they are like a stencil. And when you buy this pack, you actually get several of them. Let me show you what you get. I just print this up so that I can see at a glance what I've got in there. But you get, I'll lay them down so you can see them a little better. There's this one that's kind of a lattice almost sort of look. You can do a lot of fun things with that. There is this one. I don't know what you'd call these little shapes in here, but they're kind of pretty, like little flowers. You get this one. You also get this where you can either do something with these little frames that are cut out, or even they give us the little pieces that are cut out, so you could do something around them too. So there's these. There is also this one that's kind of a fun little check print. And then last but not least, yeah, this one, it kind of reminds me a little bit of a quatrefoil. But this is the one we're going to use tonight. So let me put away these other ones that we're not using. You know me, I have to put it away right away or else I'll lose it. And I'll show you the card we're going to make. This one is really pretty simple. And this is what we're going to make. There's the inside of the card. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you how I did that. It starts with a very standard card base. It's a half a sheet of cardstock. It's 8.5 by 5.5. It's scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we're going to fold that on the score line. Use the bone folder to get a nice crisp edge there, and I'm just going to set that aside for the moment. Now I've got all of our little pieces here. Okay. Now, to save a little time, I did do the die cut ahead of time. And what I did is I took our adhesive paper and I put it on adhesive sheets, I think is what it's called. And I put it on the back of my cardstock. And basically it's like a sticky paper that has release paper on both sides of it. So what you do is you peel off one side so that you can stick the sticky side to the back of your cardstock. And then when you're ready, you've got your cardstock with this white paper here that you see. And then you cut out your die, or you use your die to cut it out. Now this one still has a few little pieces in it. And I left it like this because I wanted to show you that a lot of times when you go to peel this release paper off, you just find a place where you can lift it and start getting it going. A lot of times it lifts a lot of those little tiny pieces out for you. And then you don't have to worry about trying to pick them out of the die or out of the die cut. There'll still be a few remaining, which is fine. Then I'll use my take your pick tool to get the rest of those out of there. But you can see how it peels so many out of there for you. So you don't have to worry about it, which is kind of nice. I really like this paper. It's so super simple to use, but you know, the thing is just, I think it has to do with where I keep it. I tend to forget about it. And then I cut my shape out with my dies and think, oh, I forgot to put the adhesive sheet on there. And so I don't use it as often as I could simply because I forget about it. So now you can see there's still a few little dams still in there. That's what those little pieces that pop out are called. They're called the dams. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my take your pick tool and pull them out. And actually, you know what? I shouldn't have pulled my release tape off yet because I'm not even ready for this step. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these little pieces off, and then we'll set this aside where I can't do any damage with it. Let's see here. See all these little tiny little pieces. I love these really fine, intricate dies like this because there's so much you can do with them really simply, easily. But it does take a minute or two to get all those little tiny pieces out. Eric is telling me, yes, that Talina forgets to use the adhesive sheets too. I I think we all do because they're just out of sight, out of mind. We put them away and we don't think about it. I need to maybe find a place to put them where they're more obvious to me, maybe next to my die cut machine, so that I don't forget to use them. Okay, so I think I've got just about all of these punched out. That's, like I said, the tedious part of this, but in the end it's nice because you don't have to worry about trying to get glue all over these little teeny tiny parts, these fine little details, which, to be honest, there's some tricks to that too. So let's see, poke those out. And then I forgot about these little dots right here. Okay. Okay, now I think I have all these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my silicone mat. This is designed so that adhesive does not stick to it. In fact, even if you use liquid glue and put it on there, once it dries, you just go like this and roll it up and it rolls right off. You can clean it off easily. But the other thing is when I put adhesive on something before I mean to, Tracy loves the adhesive sheets. Good, I'm glad. Do you use yours a lot, or do you, like the rest of us, forget to use them? But anyway, so when I have something that I've already put the adhesive on and I don't want it sticking to something else that it shouldn't, I'll just put it on my silicone mat. Then I can set it aside until I'm ready for it and it'll come right off. Okay, so I've got a couple of sheets of basic white cardstock and my envelope. All three of these, I'm going to be using the mask with it. So let me show you how I'm going to do this. First, I'm going to take my mask. And I'm just going to take a little piece of tape and I'm going to tape it down to my work surface. Just like that. And then I'm going to take one of these sheets. As you can see, one is just slightly smaller than the other. I just happen to know that the smaller one is going to go on the front of my card. And the only reason it's important to keep them separate is if you choose to do what I did, which is on this one, you can see the design is in the lower left-hand side, but on the inside, it's the lower right-hand side. So you just want to, if you're going to do that where it's opposites, you want to make sure you know which piece is which. Tracy says she learned the hard way by having glue everywhere. Yeah, I think we've all been there. Where we've done that. It does take, it's a little bit of a trick to get used to using the liquid glue and not getting it everywhere. Susan hasn't tried them before, says she'll have to give it a try. Yes, you do have to give it a try, Susan. They're really awesome. I'm just going to turn this because my paper is going to go this way and I think it'll just work a little better for me to do that. So anyway, now I'm just going to set my piece of basic white cardstock in there, but I don't want it sliding around. So I'm just putting a teeny tiny little bit of adhesive on the back of it. Not a lot, but just enough that it will hold it in place while I am doing this. And it'll be easy to pull it up. Tracy says that wasn't a trick she wanted to master. That's fair enough. That is fair enough. Okay, so now I'm taking one of my blending brushes and I'm taking, oh, and now I'm throwing stuff around. I've got my Melon Mambo ink. I love this shade of pink. It's such a pretty, nice, bright, pretty pink without being obnoxious bright. You know, like welcome back to the 80s bright. Okay, so get a little bit of extra off my brush here. And now all I'm going to do is I'm just kind of circling around on here. And I'm doing it lightly and I'm not even really making sure that I've got consistent coverage in everywhere because I want it to kind of fade away like it has right there. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull out the next one. This is my one for the front. Let's put a little bit of adhesive on there. Stick it in here. I do like to use this paper for stamping on because I've got measurements on it, and we do sell this, by the way. You can find it on my website. But also for something like this where I'm laying down pieces, I've got the grid lines. It's called grid paper, by the way. It's got grid lines so that I can make sure to put my cardstock down there straight if it's something that's important to pay attention to. So now I'm just doing it again, lightly, no real consistency, and it kind of fades away. There we go. And then finally we're going to do the envelope. And all you need to do for the envelope is go ahead and tuck a piece of scratch paper in there so that you don't end up getting ink all over your envelope. You're only getting it where you want it, which is the flap of the envelope. I like to decorate my envelopes. Those of you who follow me regularly know that. Okay, so actually I should pull this down just a little bit just to make sure that I get coverage on the whole thing. Just line it up there. Now this, I'm not using adhesive to kind of glue it down like I did the others, just because on the others, it was the back of the piece of paper, so it's not going to show. On the envelope, it would. So I just kind of wing it. Okay, now same thing. I'm kind of going over the whole thing. I'm not having this fade off at an angle like I did on the white cardstock, but I'm also not worrying about it being a real consistent coverage. I kind of like that it's lighter in some spots and darker in others, and it just kind of has a little flow to it, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. So there we go. Now our envelope is done. Easy peasy. And we've done the inside sheet of our paper. We've done the outside sheet of our paper. And now we're ready to clean this stuff off. Let me show you how I clean off my masks. I just grab a baby wipe would work, but I'm out of baby wipes. So I just have a napkin here. I'm going to squirt it a little bit with water. This is also the water I use to squirt my dog when he's not behaving. And just wipe it off gently. Especially if there's a lot of different ways to use these masks, and some of the different ways do involve different ways to clean them off. But when you're just using your blending brushes, you have such a light coating of ink on there, it's really easy to just go over it with the paper towel and the ink comes right off. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put this away. Okay. And now we can start building our card. Get some of these little pieces of paper towel out of the way. Okay, so here's our card base. Let's go ahead and do the inside of the card first. And I think this one is, yes, this one is the inside. So let's go ahead and glue it down. And you could stamp a sentiment in there if you choose. I have a sentiment on the front of this card, but you could, we do have some sentiments that, like for example, I have thanks on the front. We have some that are a little bit wordier about saying thanks. And you could do something like that on the inside, or you can just leave it blank like I did. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys liked the idea of using the stencil on the envelope. Welcome, Teresa. It's good to see you. I didn't see you sneak in on us. Okay. Now I have a piece of our basic gray. Some of our grays, I get mixed up in my head what they are. Basic gray cardstock. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue this down on there. I accidentally went off the edge with my adhesive there. All you have to do is fold it back so it doesn't show. Uh-oh, this needs to be trimmed just a little bit. Bear with me, let me go cut this really quick. Okay. Looks like my white cardstock was the right measurement. It was my gray that was a little bit off. Okay, so now just going to line this up. I want my margins to be relatively the same everywhere, and I like to have, like to cut my background piece about 1/8 of an inch bigger than the foreground piece. It gives me a 1/16 of an inch margin, and I like that. It just gives it a little bit of pop. So let's go ahead and glue that down. See, this card comes together pretty quickly. If you were making maybe a set of cards for someone, that went down really nicely, didn't it? If you were making a set of cards for somebody, this would be a great set to make because you could whip out several of them pretty darn quick to make for somebody. Okay, now we're back to our die that we've peeled off the release tape. It's nice and sticky. Ooh, there's still little tiny pieces in here that didn't come out when they were supposed to. Have a few that are stuck on the back to the adhesive. It's always a good idea just to look to make sure if there's any you need to pull off of there that got stuck to the back. Okay, then I'm going to just kind of play with this a little bit until you figure out how to get it to fit right where you want it. And let's see, how about if we put it right about there? And now you want to press it down really hard, press it down really well. This adhesive, it's not our strongest adhesive. I wish it was a stronger adhesive than it is. So what I recommend is put it on your card, then flip your card over and then go over it really well to press it down, just to make sure that it sticks really well. Sorry about all the wiggling of the table here. Okay. Now that's there. Let's go ahead. Now I've got my 2 little pieces to make my banner. And we're going to use the Melon Mambo ink again. And the stamp that says thanks. It's from the same stamp set, the artistically inked stamp set. And I'm going to stamp it right about the middle. This piece right here is 1 inch by 3 inches. So I'm going to line this up. There we go. Clean off my stamp. Oh my goodness, I have pink. Look at the pink I have all over my hands, you guys. That's kind of funny. By the way, when you get ink on your hands like this, lava soap is the best for getting it off. And you can just buy it on Amazon, buy one block of it, whatever it's called, a bar of soap. That's what it is. And I keep mine in my bathroom and it gets the ink off really well. The other thing you can do is just wait until the next time you wash your hair. And when you wash your hair, it gets the ink off your hands too. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my banner Pick-a-Punch. I love this. I use it all the time. And I'm going to feed it in here. What it does is you can get it to create either one of these ends on your piece of paper, and you can do it in different sizes, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, or 1 inch wide. So it really is quite versatile. So I put it in there and do that end. Now I'm going to put it in and do the other end. And now move this guy out of the way. I'm going to flip it over and I'm just going to put a narrow bead of glue right down the center like this. And now I'm going to take this gray strip, put it right in the center there, and then kind of make sure that it's lined up the way I want it to. Using the liquid glue gives me just a little bit of time before it gets tacky and starts to stick, so that I can line it up and make sure I have it centered the way I want it centered, both vertically and horizontally. So I think I like that. Now let me show you how I'm going to mount this. I wanted to pop it up a little bit, so I'm going to use our foam adhesive strips. And I really love these strips because they're so easy to use and they're nice and narrow, so I find myself using them more and more. They're very easy to work with. And now I'm just going to put one on each side of the banner here. You know, when I bought these, some of you are probably familiar, many of you probably are familiar with shaker cards. And that was the only way I had seen these strips used to create a shaker card. And that's what I bought mine for. But you know, as I've been playing with them, and I find that I have these tiny little spaces that I need some very narrow foam adhesive. It's perfect for that. So I use, like I said, I use them quite a bit now. When I first got them, I didn't use them a whole lot because I don't make a ton of shaker cards. But now I find myself using them quite a bit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just pull the release tape off. So we have 4th of July coming up. Does anybody have any big plans for 4th of July? We don't really have any. We don't really do anything exciting like that. My husband and I, we're just not exciting people. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just line this up on my card. I think I made this a little wider than I did the first time around. So I do want to, I think I want to trim this. Just a little bit. Okay, good enough. And now line this up right about here. This looks like it's the center. Looks like this end needs to come up just a little bit. Now remember, foam adhesive can be rather unforgiving, so lay it down really lightly at first to make sure that it's where you want it, so that if you need to reposition it, you can. It's a lot easier to do if it's just been laid down very lightly. So then to add just a little final touch to our card, I have our classic matte dots, and these give you dots in white, kind of an ivory, gray, and black. So just some nice basic colors. And let's see here. Whoops. And let's see, we'll put one right there. Put a little one next to it. We'll put another little one down here. And then we'll do another double set of them down here. And there we go. We have card number 1. What do you guys think? It was nice and easy, right? Okay, now let's clean up a little bit here and we'll get going on card number 2. Susan says she's going to Lake Alpine. Do you go camping there, Susan, or is there just stuff to do there for the day? Okay, so then our next card, thank you, Nell. The next card we're going to use the Cottage Rose. It's in a suite called Abigail Rose. Why they can't just call them the same thing, I don't know. That drives me nuts, but Cottage Rose or Abigail Rose. Thank you, Teresa. Oh, fun. Susan, you guys rent a cabin there? How long do you stay? Talina says number 1 card is already her favorite. Well, just hang in there because I'm going to knock your socks off with some other ones that we've got coming here. So, okay, so the Cottage Rose stamps, these are new in the new annual catalog. Let me show you what we're going to make. And this is what I've got going on here. And just to do something a little different, I have it opening this way. So let's get started here. Pull out all of our little supplies. And this one is a half of a sheet of cardstock. I cut it lengthwise, so it's 11 inches by 4 1/4. I scored it in the middle at 5 1/2. So, oh, that'll be fun, Susan. So you're going to be up there for several days. That'll be nice. Okay, what did I do with my bone folder? There we go. Okay, see, I put it away, and that's the problem. You put stuff away, and then you can't find it. Okay, So let's set this aside for a moment. Let's do our envelope. And I just have a strip here that's 2.5 inches by 6 inches. It fits perfectly on our on the Stampin' Up! Envelopes that we sell. If you have not used the Stampin' Up! Envelopes, they are really, really nice. They're made of a really nice, almost a satiny feel paper. So they're just a little higher quality. I like them a lot. And you know, and a lot of people will argue it doesn't matter, it's the envelope, people tear them open anyway. But I like them because they give a nice finished look. And then I like to decorate them, as you see here. The co-founder of our company, Shelley Gardner, likes to say, never a naked envelope. And I have to say, I agree with her. It's just kind of fun to get something in the mail that is all decorated up like that. Oh, Nell has ordered this suite, and she is just waiting for hers to be delivered. You're going to have a lot of fun with it, Nell. Okay, so I've glued this down, and now we'll just trim off the extra here. I always like these big, fat cabbage roses like this. I'm not a super floral person, but if I'm going to go floral, then I like the really, really girly, almost antique Victorian looking stuff. So it's like if I'm going to go girly, I'm going to go really girly. Okay. Now we've got our envelope done, so we're just going to set that aside for now. Let's do the inside of our card because that's quick and easy. Got a piece of basic white cardstock, and then I have just a little strip of our Designer Series paper. This is the Abigail Rose Designer Series paper that comes in this suite. It matches the stamps, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a little glue on here. Glue it down. It just gives something, a little something to the inside of your card. So it's just not a plain basic boring inside, especially because I don't tend to stamp messages or sentiments inside my card. I don't tend to do a lot of stamping inside. So it just gives it a little something to tie it in with the front of the card. Let's go ahead and glue this down on the inside. Okay, got that right there. Now again, we'll move that out of the way. I have a piece of Pool Party and then another piece from our Designer Series paper. Let's go ahead and glue this down. All of the decorative paper that you see me using here comes from that same pack, that same Designer Series pack, the Abigail Rose. So I'm lining this up. And now I have this this strip that's a half as wide as this one is what I'm getting at. Okay. See if I don't think the flowers on this go any particular direction, but it's always a good idea to look and see if you think it does, because if you think it does and you lay it down the opposite way, it will always look upside down to you. Okay, so now I've got that piece on there. Set that aside. I've got a piece of basic white and a piece of craft paper here. And I'm going to use the soft suede ink. And I'm going to stamp this nice big rose. And I'm using the soft suede instead of a black, just because it gives a little bit softer image. Line it up on here. Oh, I might have gone off the edge of my paper. I didn't. Ooh, I was very close, but I was okay. Clean off my stamp. some of these bigger detailed stamps take just a little extra TLC to get them cleaned off. I was kind of hoping my husband would bring me home some ice cream today on his way home from work. And you know what? He failed to read my mind and do that for me. Can you believe it? Okay, so now I have my Stampin' Blends. I've got light and dark Pool Party, and then I also have light Bermuda Bay. And all I'm going to worry about coloring here is the flower, and I'm actually going to do it very quick and easy. So I'm taking the brush tip of my markers, and I'm just kind of scribbling in, and I'm not being super precise about it. I'm leaving some white. See how it's not fully colored in? Okay. So now I'm going to take, and that was the light Pool Party. Now I'm going to take the dark Pool Party, again, the brush tip, and I'm just going to kind of just color in where Stampin' Up! Has given me little marks that indicate shading, these little lines. Again, no real precision, I'm just kind of scribbling. If you were ever 2 years old, this is a skill that you probably have. You may not have used it in a while, but it's a skill you have. This is the light Bermuda Bay. And now what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to add a little bit of color kind of at the base of these petals. And when I'm first doing it, I know it looks kind of messy and you're kind of thinking, what the heck is she doing? But this type of ink, it takes it just a little while to soak into the paper. It kind of saturates the paper, and it starts to do its magic and it starts to blend. Now I see a spot where I forgot to do some of this on my sample card, so I'm just going to do that really quick. But you can see, except for that spot that I just colored, see how it's really lightened up and it's blended in. That's what's going to happen as the ink starts to soak into the paper. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and glue this down to my square of crumb cake. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and mount it onto my card. And you know, when I did my sample one, I did not pop it up, but I think I'm going to this time. So I'm going to take a foam adhesive sheet. I love these foam adhesive sheets. They're great for the lazy stamper like myself who doesn't want to have to tear off a ton of backs to dimensionals. And then I have this little bag that I have a bin here that I keep all my adhesives and things that I use all the time. And then I just always keep it and grab it. So in it, I have a little bag that I put all my little pieces of the adhesive sheets that I've cut off. So then when I just need smaller pieces, I've got them right here. Stick that there. And you know, before I put it on there, let's go ahead and glue this part to the front of our card. Make sure I've got the card going the right direction, because I have been known to put card fronts on upside down and backwards before. It's kind of a specialty of mine. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy and put it here. I'm going to center it on my card. There we go. And then I have a little bit of our Pool Party ribbon. I'm going to tie a little bow. Give yourself permission to waste some of the ribbon, because when you do that, you have extra ribbon to work with, and extra ribbon allows you to tie it a little bit. It makes it easier to tie a good bow. Hey, Marcia, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Okay. Okay, oops. It still looks a little bit wonky, so I'm just going to kind of fuss with it a little bit. Okay, come on you little bow. Don't make me untie you and retie you, because I will. Show it who's boss. And I'm kind of afraid the bow might be the boss this time. Okay. I think my ribbon's kind of twisted up in there. That's the problem. Okay. Okay, so now I'm just gonna trim my tails of my bow. There we go. And use a glue dot. I'm just going to put it right on the corner there. And then I'm going to take my brushed brass butterflies. I like these because you can kind of see, if I do this sideways, that they're very flat. So they don't add a bunch of bulk to your card. And I like that a lot. So first what I'm going to do is, let's see, we'll put one right here. And they have two different sizes. There's big ones and there's little ones. Now let's put another big one down here in this corner. And then what I forgot to do on the inside, I'll show you here. I did have a little sentiment. And it's always wise to do your stamping before you do your gluing. I did not do this time, so we're just going to really cross our fingers and make sure this stamped image comes out as it should. Again, I'm using the soft suede, and I'm just lining it up here along the bottom. There we go. That looks good to me. Get my stamp nice and clean. And then I just put my butterflies away, but I actually am going to put one on the inside of my card too, which you can't always do with embellishments because they're bulky. But because these are flat, I can put it right there. It just adds a little something, and it doesn't add bulk. Okay, so now there's our card. I know right now it still looks kind of blotchy because of that dark there, but like I said, as the ink soaks in, you can see this is the one I did. I colored it last night, I think, or maybe it was this morning. But anyway, several hours it's soaked in, and you can see the difference. So, but that is card number 2. Now clean up from here, and we'll get going on card number 3. Now card number 3 is a little bit of a fun fold. You know I like to do the fun folds. And we're going to use the Happy and Heartfelt Sentiment Stamp Set. This is retiring at the end of the month. The end of the month in 2 days. I really love this. I love the font. I love that there's so many different sentiments. I'm very, very sad this is going to go away. Teresa said it was a nice surprise to find the butterfly inside the card. I totally agree, Teresa. I think it's kind of fun when you have a little surprise like that. Okay, we're also going to use my layering circle dies. Of course we are, because I use them all the time, right? So let me show you what we've got here. I did this card in one color, but we're going to use Calypso Coral for the other. And this one I did in Coastal Cabana. Welcome, Elaine. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so like I said, this has a little bit of a fun fold on it, and I'm going to do a couple of things different with the one we're going to make together because I'm just kind of curious which one I like better, but I also am curious to see what you guys like better. And I'll point out those differences when the cards are done so we can look at them side by side, okay? So this is the front, this is the inside. So let's get going on this fun little card. Again, it's a standard card base, half a sheet, 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. By the way, if you tend to go and watch my replay videos, especially of my paper pumpkin videos, I did one last Saturday. But something funny happened with the video and it wouldn't let me download it from Facebook so that I could then upload it to YouTube. So it is not on YouTube this month, but it is here on my Facebook page, and you can go into the videos section and pull it up if you're interested in seeing the alternate ideas video for this month's Paper Pumpkin Kit. Okay, so let's do our envelope first. And for this one, did I not cut a strip? I did not cut a strip. So I need to do that really quick. Bear with me. Give me just a moment. Okay, that's quick and easy to do. 2.5 inches by 6 inches. Let's glue that on. Use my liquid glue. Love my liquid glue. It did take me quite a while to get used to the liquid glue though, because there is a such thing as too much. And if you use too much of it, it can make your paper kind of warped and bubbly. And I did not like that look. So I shied away from my liquid glue for a long time. It just takes a little bit of getting used to it to get the feel for how heavy of a hand or how light of a hand you need with the liquid glue. And it's not something that anyone can really explain. You just kind of gotta get the feel for it. Okay. That edge is a little bit wonky, so let's go ahead and trim that. I think I need some new paper snips. These have been well loved and it is beginning to show. Okay, so there's our envelope. Let's go ahead and set that aside. And this paper here, oh, I forgot what it's called. Hang on just a sec. I really like this designer series paper. It's beautiful, beautiful paper. That's why I want to make sure I can tell you what the name of it is. It's right here. It's on page 133 of the new annual catalog, and it's called Pretty Prints. Well, I guess that was easy enough. I should have remembered that, right? Okay. So what I've done is first I have a piece of basic white cardstock, and then I have a piece of the designer series paper that I'm going to glue onto it just so that I have a nice little mat like that. So let's glue those together and go ahead and I don't want to use my liquid glue for that. Some people do. I prefer not to. Okay. So we'll stick this on here. I'm not going to stick it onto my card yet because I'm going to show you something that I'm going to do with it here in just a moment. Now I have a piece for the inside of my card, and I also have a little strip. Let's go ahead and put those together, and I will go ahead and glue that into my card base. little goes a long way. And I'm going to go ahead and line this up right on the bottom of my card. A lot of times I like to leave a little bit of a white, little white row between the bottom of my card and the little strip. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and line it up right to the bottom. Oops. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put this in here, and then I'm going to stamp it after I just told you that you should stamp it before you glue it in. Good thinking, Heather. Okay. And the stamp that I'm using here is the one that says no matter what, because on the front we're using I love you. So I've got my Calypso Coral ink, my no matter what stamp. I'm going to stamp it right there. Ta-da! Oh my gosh, something funny that just made me think of. My video on Saturday, my paper pumpkin video, Facebook muted like 36 seconds of it or something because the music that was playing may possibly have copyright infringements or whatever, which is fair enough. I get that, except there was no music playing. I have no idea what it thought was music. I wasn't even singing. So I think that's really funny that it muted me because of my music, and then I don't even have any music. Okay, so here's what I have. Let me grab my trimmer for this next step. Okay, so for this step, what I did is I have a piece of my Designer Series paper, and I have cut a square 4 by 4 inches, okay? Now I'm going to take a pencil, and I'm going to measure this out, and I'm just going to make little tick marks right at the what I want is 2-inch marks. So I've got one here, one there, then I'm going to flip it over and do it again. Okay. Then I'm going to take, I forgot to turn my light on. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Hope that helps. So you can see a little bit better. Now I'm lining up these tick marks right in my channel here where I would cut, where I would normally cut, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use my scoring blade to go from line to line. So what it's doing is giving me a score line right here on my corner. And I'm going to do each side this way, where I'm going to line up my tick marks right there in the channel. Score it, flip it around, last side here, okay. Now those little tick marks probably won't ever show, but if you're like me, you'll know they're there. So you might as well go ahead and erase them. Okay, so now what I've got is my piece of Designer Series paper. It's 4 by 4. It's scored with a diamond in the center. I'm going to lay it so that the side of the Designer Series paper that matches this piece here, that's the front of my card, I want it to be facing up, okay? So these two match like that. If I lay them down next to each other, they match. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold on the scored line. All 4 of the corners. Just like this. Okay, now I'm going to take my bone folder. Give myself nice sharp creases, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend them back so that the point goes right to the edge of my square. on all four sides. This is kind of like origami without knowing how to do origami. And again, I'm using my bone folder to just make sure I've got nice sharp creases. Now here's the first difference I'm going to show you between what I'm doing with this card and what I did with my sample card. See how the pieces kind of open up a little bit naturally, and it gives a little bit of dimension to the piece, right? So it's right here on the card, and see how it just kind of sticks up a little bit, gives it a little dimension. On this one, what I did is I took adhesive and put it right here on each of the four pieces, and I glued them down so that they laid flat. Now I didn't glue down these little flaps right here. I glued down just this part. So this part of the square, the background part of the square, laid nice and flat. But if I don't glue it down, then it kind of pops up a little bit. And I kind of tend to think I like the popped up look. I'm going to go ahead and finish this with the popped up look. But when we're all done, we'll put them side by side and see what you like the best, okay? So now let's put a little adhesive on here. Okay. Now this is another thing that I'm doing a little different here. On my sample one, I centered this right in the center of the card. But on this one, I'm going to go ahead and move it up. Like that. So now it's glued down. And the reason for that is because I'm going to tie a little bit of white baker's twine around it on the bottom here. So I wanted to leave room for the baker's twine. I just wrapped it around twice. I'm going to tie a cute little bow. Now play with my bow a little bit. It's kind of laying a little bit funny here. There we go. Just like that. Let's go ahead and trim the tails a little bit. Oops, this one is quite a bit longer. Okay, so now we'll leave that there. Now I have two little circles that I used my layering circles, and I just used the two smallest circles. And they're both white, and I have my I Love You stamp and my Calypso Coral ink. And the I and the U are going to just go slightly off the edge of my circle. That's okay. Oh, pooh, I got that little mark there. Let's see if my sand eraser will get rid of that. It might be a little too dark. There we go, got most of it off. Sorry about the shaking, guys. There we go. Sand eraser, if you don't have one, get one. Amazon, couple bucks. Okay, let me clean off my stamp. Put away the ink pad before I lay down in it. Now I realize these are both white. It just gave kind of a nice subtle bit of dimension to have the white on white like that. And now I'm going to put a few Actually, I was going to say put a couple little dimensionals on there, but maybe I'll just use one of these little bits that I have left over from a foam adhesive sheet, because that works too. Okay, now I'm just going to line this up in the center, whoops, in the center of this circle. There we go. And I'm going to just glue this down. You know what? I should have glued that down probably first. It's hard to put snail on a piece that has foam adhesive like that. So I'm just going to use my liquid glue. Hold these down so that you're making sure to line everything up where you want it. Make sure your little I love you is straight. There we go. Whoops, I think I might have just moved it. There we go. So now it's right in the middle. Let's go ahead and stick this down on our card. Make sure my card is going the right direction. Okay. There we go. Now, one last step. On my sample one, I used our basic rhinestone gems. Here I'm going to use the champagne rhinestones, and I'm just going to take 4 of these little guys and put one in each corner of this piece that's folded back. And you could go crazy and put more on if you wanted. I like just the subtle bit of the 4. So here is card number 3 with its matching envelope, but let's look at it compared to my demo, my sample one, so we can look at the differences and see what you like better. On the Calypso Coral one, I didn't glue down my background square. I also added white baker's twine, and of course my little jewels there, or gems, are the champagne rather than the basic white or clear. So, oh, and this one, that piece is centered, where this one I moved it up a little bit because of my bow. So what do you guys think? What do you like better? I have my opinion. I know which one I think I like better, but let's see what you guys think. I'll give you a couple minutes to answer that while I put some stuff away, and then we'll look at all the cards we made tonight. Teresa likes the Calypso Coral one. What does everybody else think? Susan likes the Calypso Coral. Eric likes the Calypso Coral. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think I like that one a little bit better myself. So, anyway, so let's just take a look at everything that we made tonight. Move this out of the way. So we have the one that we just finished, our Calypso Coral I Love You. We have this one here with our Abigail Rose Sweet and the butterflies. There we go. Actually, I should put it like this so you can see it without the flap of the envelope being in the way. And then we've got our thanks card right here that we made. With the inside, using that mask in several different ways. So there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed the cards we made. Mary, I know what you mean. The fingers, they get in the way and we type things we don't mean to type. I've been there. I do it all the time. I call it happy fingers. If you enjoyed what you saw tonight, I would love it if you'd give me some likes, some thumbs up. If you're watching this on a replay, likes and thumbs up help as well. Thank you, Teresa. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'd love to encourage you to subscribe to my page. You can even click on the little bell icon, and that gives you notification when I upload new videos. If you follow my page on Facebook, you'll see the notifications when I put up reminders that my videos are coming. Thank you, Susan. If you need to purchase any of the supplies that you saw used tonight or want to stock up on some of those items that are going to be retiring here in the next couple of days, I would love to earn your business, and you can do that at heathersides.stampinup.net. That's where my online shopping is. If your order is under $150, I would really appreciate it if you would use this host code. It's what helps me to get stuff to be able to continue to provide these videos for free and prizes and things like that. If your order's over $150, no judgment here, then please don't use the host code, because you will have some rewards coming to you from Stampin' Up! And I want to make sure that you are the one who receives them. So again, I hope you enjoyed what you saw tonight. As always, I enjoyed my time spent with you. This is one of the highlights of my week, so I hope you enjoy it too. And I hope to see you guys next Wednesday, same time, same place. Have a good night, guys.